Got a mighty big show tonight, Steve. A lot going on in sports. Make sure y'all get in there, man. Make sure I want y'all to comment when y'all log in. I want y'all to comment where y'all watching the show from. Where are y'all watching the show from? And then if you want to, you can tell us what fan group are you coming from? Are you from, what school you coming from? If you're a Southernite, if you're a FAMUan, if you're from Mississippi Valley, of course, the Jackson State University. If you're from Texas Southern, put it in the comments. Of course, Prairie View, Grambling. Even if you're from Tennessee State, Wilberforce, Virginia State. We got some good people out in Virginia State, don't we, Mr. Campbell?
I don't know none of those people.
Norfolk State, if you're in the building, let me holler at you. Hey, I got my favorite girl in here from good old Alabama A&M down in Normal, Alabama. We got Sharif from Bama State. Hey, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with us on Coach's Corner. Coach Cole is on the way. Today he had just a slight conflict. He got some other things that he's obligated to do on Tuesday this time of year, but he will be on the show. I can guarantee you that. He gave me my word. But we're going to get in these conversations and discuss these topics that are happening all over the college football landscape. We're going to broaden the conversation somewhat tonight and talk about, some issues, some things that I know that you're interested in that are happening all over college football. But before we get into the conversation, I want to first say to my co-host, Mr. Campbell, how you doing?
Hey, man, listen, I'm here. I'm holding up my NIL deal. I'm showing up. I'm not holding out. I believe a man should honor his word. That's why I'm here. It's Tuesday night. Got some things to talk about.
Speaking about that, I want to say this, man. I want to thank you and Coach for showing up every single Tuesday after Tuesday. You know exactly how much we getting paid to do this. And
2.4 million.
and even with the grand total of zero, we show up each and every Tuesday, giving the people what they want, valuable information, giving them our experiences, sharing stories, educating, because you do a lot of that, Mr. Campbell, educating the youth and some of the old heads. And so I just want to thank you and Coach Cole for doing it, man, because it's an honor to be on the show with you guys, and I'm tremendously privileged to be in this space that I am.
Well, Rocky, let me just say, for all us HBCU people, we are happy that you're here. We are happy that you Prime Minister still hanging around, still enjoying the great HBCU content. See, you ain't over there with the white folks talking about Colorado and all that. See, they ain't even got no channels. North Dakota State ain't even got no channels, nothing like that. See? So that's the thing about it. So you still over here with your black folks. The cookout is always the cookout. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give you a little something to drink, but we know we're going to take good care of you. That's how we do it.
Well, one thing I'll say, and anybody who knows me knows this is true. I love the blacks. I love the blacks.
Okay, that's good.
You know what I mean? So it's a pleasure for me to be here with you guys, and I love the conversation and the culture. I just love everything about it. And so, again, I just want to thank you guys publicly because it means a lot to me. But we're going to start the conversation off with one of my favorite topics. Let me try to find the article here because I know there's one. And it's surprising. It's surprising me how it's unfolding, because I'm surprised at how the story is really unfolding. Because I thought it would be a consensus among the people that care. I'll just put it like that. So let me go ahead and bring the story up. Not that one out. That's coming later. That's coming later. Hold on, Mr. Calvin. I got some new gadgets here, and I'm trying to organize and get it together. But let me share my screen right quick. All right, Mr. Campbell. This is an interesting situation here. And I want to bring this up. This is not necessarily the story that I wanted to bring up, but basically, let me see. Shedeur and Travis, their jerseys are being retired at the spring game. And surprisingly, to me, the Buff faithful are giving them an extreme amount of pushback. And I'll just ask you.
You mean the whites? The whites. See, let me be clear now. Because see, there's a whole bunch of y'all wearing that CU game don't even know where Boulder, Colorado at. So we talking about the whites, the people that actually went to the school, right? Let's be clear on that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. And basically, this is the first time I've seen people on the Colorado side willing to publicly criticize Prime. You a man that is fluent with, you're multicultural. You used to doing business and with everybody.
Internationally known and locally loved. Absolutely.
Are you surprised at the pushback he's getting from Colorado?
No, and I'm not. And I think, that's why I think you need to separate the two. I would like to see what the pushback is versus Shedeur versus Travis. Because I think this is more to do with Shedeur and being the lightning rod that he is than Travis Hunter. Because, see, you know, I mean, we deal with facts over here. So, you know, I had to go see how many Colorado jerseys were actually retired, right? So you got Byron White, who was actually on the Supreme Court, All-American. That kind of makes sense, right? Retire his jersey. Rashawn Salam won a Heisman Trophy. Kind of makes sense. Retire his jersey. Now, there's two other guys that I think this is what gives Shedeur, to me, standing. There's a guy named, let me make sure I got this. Joe Romick, who was an offensive guard between 1959 and 1961. And that 61 team, listen, and when we come with those stats, they won the conference, man. Hey, listen, they won the conference. And then you got this other guy, Bobby Anderson, number 11, played in 1969, and they were 8-3 in the Big 8. So, you know, again, there was something to that. Now, my problem is when I looked at what they added Shedeur, this is where it got shaken for me. Now, I think, I'm not going to get it should he not, but this was a stat that they put in here for Shedeur. He threw a touchdown in an NCAA record 49 straight games. And there's only one of two D1 quarterbacks to throw for 14,000 yards. Now, I'm going to tell y'all a secret. Half of them games was at Jackson State University. Okay?
Absolutely.
So now, hold on. Now, how you going to include the Jackson State numbers with that? Okay? See, that's my first problem. You don't be using our numbers to build your case. Now, now Colorado. Now, I'm going to give you the Colorado numbers. Now, I'm going to give it to Colorado. He set 100 school records. He was a Johnnie Award winner, and he was AP first team All-American. Well, second team AP, couple All-Americans, right? So my thing is like, I don't know. You didn't win a conference championship, right? You played 2 seasons. Now you got the 100. Listen, I get 100 school records. That's a lot. But Travis, he won a Heisman Trophy. Rashawn Salam won a Heisman Trophy. So I'm going to put those guys together. So if they retire Rashawn Salam, you got to retire Travis. And Travis won, the Thorpe Award, a couple other awards behind that. But Shedeur, I think this is more about Shedeur than Travis. I'm going to be honest with you.
So you taking the approach that this is more daddy ball than on merit?
Yeah, well, I think the argument, because like I said, I want to be fair, because I'm a big Shedeur fan. I am a huge Shedeur fan. But I'm just saying, if you're going, I'm looking at the other guys. They have won conference championships, right? Or you got a Supreme Court justice or Heisman Trophy winner. And then to build your case, and I'm reading on the Colorado site that they're counting Jackson State numbers. And I just can't do that. I just can't count Jackson State. Jackson State numbers, Jackson State numbers.
Well, here's the thing that's peculiar to me. I'll say this. What's peculiar to me is neither one of these guys have even been drafted in the NFL, and they already want to retire their numbers. And my question to you is, with them still, even though their collegiate career is over, their overall stories are still being written about who they are as football players and who they are as men. What's the rush to put them to retire their numbers? That's what is peculiar to me.
I think that's a great point. I'm gonna tell you the rest because Deion know he ain't gonna be there, and Deion know if he ain't there, them white folks not gonna retire them jerseys. So that's why I think Deion is being a little bit self-serving, and he knows he's not gonna be there. And I agree. I think there's something to align, as they say, let it cook. Let people appreciate you, not do something in the spur of the moment. And that's the thing about it right there. He's not going to be there. So to me, that's why I said it looks self-serving. Because to me, I would want the board of trustees, the boosters to bring that up. You know what I mean? Again, the people that we named. Like I said, I don't know the two players. Like I said, I know who Byron White was because he was a Supreme Court justice. I know who Rashawn Salam was because I actually saw him play. Other two guys, again, they won a conference championship. Colorado Shedeur didn't win a conference championship.
Yeah, hey, okay, to continue this conversation, I want y'all to call me. I want y'all to call me. So we got a caller on the line right now. We only got one for right now, but we are going to be taking calls all during the show. So caller with the last 4, 9387. What's your name and where you calling from?
What's good, back is Justin with Smash, man. Good, y'all.
What's going on, man? How you doing, Smash? Thank you for calling in. What are your thoughts on this? You only cover one topic, so what do you think about this Shedeur thing, man? What do you got to say about it?
I feel like he shouldn't get his jersey retired, and I feel like I agree with you. It's a daddy ball game, you know what I'm saying? Like, use the comments. If you say Jackson State wanted to retire Shedeur and Shedeur number, understandable. You know what I'm saying? Dude won championships there, the culture, the impact. We could give a lot of stuff to say why Jackson should do it versus Boulder. You know what I'm saying? Now, Travis, on the other hand, hell yeah. If they retire one Heisman winner jersey, simply off winning the Heisman, his number should get retired. But Shedeur, man, I feel like besides, like Mr. Campbell said, most of the records come from Jackson State season. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like it's daddy ball at its finest. And I feel like he gonna ruffle a bunch of feathers with this one on top, but you still have to prove that you can coach once your son and Travis gone. You know what I'm saying? So imagine they retire the number and then you really don't do good after that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You really gonna ruffle a bunch of feathers. So that's my opinion. What y'all think on that?
Well, I'll say this, Smash. I think the timing is peculiar. These guys are about to be hopefully drafted in the first round, both of them. And so their stories are still being written. And you're retiring it. And this is where I would be kind of put off, is that they're being retired at a spring game. And not only are they being retired at a spring game, they're doing both of these guys together. And at the end of the day, I think one should happen during the season if you're going to do it. And Travis, in my opinion, deserves his own day because of what he accomplished as a player at Colorado. I certainly believe that his jersey is deserving of retirement. I don't think you have to do it now. I don't even think you have to do it in the next 5 years. But I think his jersey is worthy of being retired. And on the other hand, Travis should not have to share his day with Shedeur.
Right. Coach Campbell, how you feel on the poll? I see you think Jackson should retire your numbers. I know you're a Jackson.
Bro, listen, okay. Now, listen. Now, I'm from Jackson, okay? I want y'all to understand something. Right. Jackson State hasn't retired Walter Payton's number, okay? So, bro, it ain't going to be no should have done nothing. But I will drive down I-20 before that happened. And they didn't no disrespect. But Jackson State, from my understanding, because I always ask it, why Walter Payton? As of right now, they don't retire jerseys. So, hey, A.D. Robinson, you need to get on that, bro. You need to get Walter Payton people down there, his son, and retire Walter Payton. That 34, if no other number needs to be retired. So, Walter Payton number is not retired, bro. We ain't retired. Well, I'm saying we as a Jacksonian. There's no way that Shador will try to get that number retired.
Well, I go ahead.
A lot of people might not know that, Mr. Campbell. I thought his number would have been retired. That's crazy.
But listen, bro, that is a big thing. You know, again, I don't want to get this off track, but bro, for them old heads, and like I said, again, I don't know the politics why that they have not retired Walter Payton's jersey, which is, like I say, again, it's just again, that's a lot. Well,
Mr. Campbell, let me say
something. That's not true. You might have heard that, but there is a lot going on with that. So I'm not going to bring that out. But the bottom line, I don't want to get poked. Jackson has great players that have not retired. He's not the only Hall of Famer. So none of those guys are retired. So I don't want to get caught in the politics with the Walter Payton thing. But none of
I agree. And I'll just say this, just as a basic football fan, not really knowing about the history of Jackson State. If y'all not retiring Walter Payton number, then y'all can't retire nobody's number. You can't retire nobody.
Understandable. I ain't know that. My bad to bring it up. I would have thought that shit is as much as he's plastered on the stadium on the side of the truck and shit. His number should have been retired. But I guess I don't want to get them old heads rattled up. That's my time, y'all. I ain't mean to do all that. You know
that's what this is about, man.
No, man, we appreciate it. No, that's legit. And like I said, I don't think a lot of people, and again, I think a lot of new people don't even know that. You know what I mean? I'm talking about some of the younger Jackson State people didn't know that. So there's nothing wrong with that.
And being a Cowboy fan, I don't believe that numbers necessarily need to be retired in order to give the player recognition. You understand? Because I believe there's something to being an 88 club member. You know, there's something to somebody wearing that number and being and passing that legacy on of being an elite player. And I think that's one way you can recognize a guy, whether it be Walter Payton or Drew Pearson or whomever. In this situation with me, the main thing that would, if I were the AD or part of whatever council or committee that approves jersey retirement, I would wonder why is the timing, why is this such an urgent matter? That's what would concern me.
Well, let me ask you this question, Rocky. Why do you think the Colorado people, or what are they saying why they're upset? Is that their point that it's too soon?
So you got guys like Marco Coleman, unanimous All-American. You got guys like foundational program players like Eric Bieniemy and Darian Hagan, Westbrook, Cordell Stewart, guys who won championships that their numbers have not been retired. You understand? So when you mention all of those guys, and maybe I don't think Marco Coleman may not have played at Colorado.
Georgia Tech. You're talking about
yeah.
The Davis McGee and Alfred Williams, the H-Town boys.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but my
Deion Figures.
Deion Figures. My point is, you have players like that their numbers have not been retired, and so for Travis and Shador to jump the line, it would. You got the idea that nothing has happened in Colorado before Coach Prime got there.
Well, okay. So this is now. Remember the coach. Wait, Smash still on?
Yeah, go ahead, Smash.
Yeah. Somebody just text me. Walter Payton is in a JSU Hall of Fame. He don't need his number retired. I disagree.
What does one have to do with the other?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know who texted you that, but I'm just gonna let you know.
Right.
One, the purpose of retiring a number. Let's again see, and I know how this is going. Let's not talk about Walter Payton. Okay, let's talk about a number period. Because I know where this is gonna go left. I'm trying to get it back in. The purpose of retiring a number for any school, right, is to honor that person, to say nobody else is going to wear this number because that person was that great. So this ain't got nothing to do with anybody. So many schools have retired numbers, okay? So that's the thing. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, now we're talking about Colorado, not Jackson State. The point of Colorado does retire numbers. And the question is, has Shedeur, because I think Travis Hunter has met the bar, but I'm with you. I think it should be when he done got it grown a little bit, let him get some hair on his chin and come back with a family. But Shedeur, again, I'm looking at what they're saying, and they are counting records. And this is how Jackson State got involved. They're counting records for Jackson State. So that's the thing about it.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah.
Go ahead, Smash.
No Shedeur. It ain't Shedeur time at all. Like you know what I'm saying, because you can get a quarterback to come in and just outdo. Basically, if a quarterback come in and win a conference, he pretty much did better than Shedeur. Which, when you say that's a hell of an argument, you know what I'm saying? He can win it, take them all away, but not Shedeur. I think Travis for sure. But that's my time, y'all.
Now hold on. Now, okay. So Smash is something. Now this is what I would be interested in. So they got the kid, Juju, coming in from Georgia to be the quarterback. Mm-hmm. He wins a conference championship. And just a conference championship, okay? Does he get his jersey retired? Do all the players on that team that make all Big 12 get their jersey retired? Come on, man. It doesn't even make any sense.
I tell you one thing, if let's say it doesn't happen, because I know they got a hell of a bunch of players coming up. If the quarterback that come there next year and win the conference, I'm gonna feel like shit. Shedeur win this motherfucker. I don't care what records he did. Like you said, most of them was Jackson State stats. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna feel like I need my number retired too. So that's gonna get called daddy ball for sure. It's all daddy ball, and it's gonna take something simple as a quarterback coming and winning. Shit, a quarterback taking them to a decent bowl game for real. Like, come on. But I don't know, man. This is a good topic, man. I know I got more to go. I'm gonna go, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all.
Well, Rocky, let me ask you this, and this is the thing about it. To me, again, when we start talking about college greatness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, and I'm just going to, like I said, you think of Cam Newton. That's greatness, right? You saw that. Now he only played 1 year.
One season.
One season. But that one season was a national championship and the Heisman Trophy first pick. Okay. Peyton Manning, overall career. Eli Manning, Charlie Ward, you know what I mean? Michael Vick, guys like that. So that's, to me, when you're saying retiring, where you have a long history at the school, where you have achieved something. Because again, the point of it is you have achieved something that most people in that jersey have never achieved. Shedeur didn't even win a conference.
So I put Shedeur in this category, and follow me if I'm wrong, because I know you're a football fan. It would be the same thing if Texas chose to retire Major Applewhite's jersey and then not retire Vince Young's jersey.
Beautiful. Exactly. And people would lose their mind. The blacks down there in Texas would lose their mind.
Yeah.
So again, see, to me, and that's why I think, to me, and again, I think, Dion, this is what I'm saying by he's watering this down, right? Because when you do that, then this is where the argument comes in at. Because there are people, if that's just the barometer, that he made All-American and he broke some school records, right? Because that's the barometer. That's all that he has. Because he didn't win a conference championship. He didn't win a national championship. He was a first team All-American. The Johnnie Nice Award and broke out. Is that the standard? I don't think that's high enough. I don't think that's high enough. Now, Travis Hunter, for what he did, and again, if Rashawn Salam, see, I can see that. And then the other guy, and again, Byron White, he got his number retired. He was an All-American multiple years, okay? Multiple years, not 1 year, multiple years.
A unanimous All-American.
Thank you.
That means every All-American team they had, he was on it. The AP, the UP, or whatever. So, again, I think,
and they were undefeated. And he's in the College Hall of Fame. You see what I'm saying? And then, so here's the crazy thing. When you said that, it's like, again, you're looking at when these guys getting their jerseys retired. It was not during the season when it was. Now, they were gone. where people could reflect and say, you know what, they deserve that number retired. So my thing is, where's the reflection? Because to me, as I'm reflecting on it, and again, okay, so here's the thing. Now I will play this game. Where does Shedeur have more? Forget the level, because we understand the level. But where do he have more success at? Jackson State or Colorado? I say Jackson State.
Well, I mean, as a quarterback, you're ultimately going to be measured by wins and losses. That's the biggest. As a quarterback, that's your biggest stat. Now, again, I think Shedeur at Jackson State was statistically as impressive as he was at Colorado. I don't think, one was greater than the other, to be honest with you. Like, if you look at
talking about the wins. Because
the wins, you can't even.
Right, that was you just said. You gave the barometer.
Yeah,
you said
the wins. And again, it goes to what people see. This is one of the problems that I used to fight against people when they would say Shedeur and Deion played with an agenda. This kind of validates the point that they played the games with the agenda of creating a narrative for Shedeur that wasn't organic. It was almost contrived because they were only going to play in an offense that was going to feature the quarterback as a passer. They were only going to play in an offense that was going to allow him, winning or losing, he was going to throw the ball. They were going to win on his back or they weren't going to win at all. Even at Jackson State, I think there were times when they didn't try to develop a running game because they wanted Shedeur to be the main man. And so, again, this kind of feeds into that notion that these last four years of Shedeur's career was somewhat, and I hate to use this term because it devalues Shedeur, but I think it was so. In other words, he was propped up. As successful as he was somewhat propped up by his father and the systems that were created for him. Would you disagree with that?
Well, yeah, he was featured 100%. He was featured, and we understand that. And like I say, and again, Shedeur is extremely talented. So, like I say, the talent is not the issue. It is the resume that we're talking about, not his talent, because his talent is enough for him to be a top something pick first round at least. So we know the talent is there, but again, when you're retiring number, it is the body of work that retires your number, not because you had a hot season. And like I said, if you're going to have a hot season, and I need to find out now because I don't think Cam Newton's numbers retired at Auburn, and that's a hot season. If you're going to have a hot season, that's the season you have. That you're going to say off of one season that a guy's going to get his jersey retired.
Well,
you know what? Let me give you another guy.
I think Cam has been offered a jersey retirement, but because of the way they treated his father, he's declined it. I think he's gonna address that at some point because he has said that on his podcast that they've invited him back several times, but he didn't like the way. Oh, Cam is retired. Okay, Cam, his number, yeah. But again, guys that win national championship and Heisman trophies, let's not compare those guys to Shedeur. I'm not trying to let's talk about guys in this regard. Guys that didn't win championships at their school and guys who didn't win Heisman trophies. Whose numbers are retired?
Now let me say this. No, so Cam Newton's number is not officially retired at Auburn. And again, when it looks like that he said he didn't want the kid that wanted the number 2 jersey to have that pressure on him of living up to that number. Phil Jones passed. So I want to clear that up. So no, his number is not officially retired. They just have not issued it out to anybody. So it's kind of like maybe like I think somebody said that there's one of those unofficial retirements. Like nobody's wearing 34 at Jack State. It's retired, but it really ain't technically retired.
Who has the gall and audacity to put that on their back? You know what I mean? When you talk about, I'm talking about Walter Payton.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of numbers available that you can wear as a running back that's not 34. Yeah. And for what Walter has meant not only Walter's a football icon, he's bigger than Jackson State.
I mean, Walter Payton, like I said, when you're talking about, man, they have the Man of the Year award named after this man. Okay, in the NFL. That shows you the character of not only his legendary status on the field, his legendary status off the field. That's the kind of person. So again, that's why when you start saying this out loud and what the measurements are to retire a number. And again, and see, this is the thing about it too. I think with Deion, I think he's playing a very dangerous game because, again, they want Colorado to win. All the alumni, I'm sure they're very happy about that. He's bringing in all that money. But you have those old heads that they say they're going to be Colorado forever. That's why they got mad. Prime, I don't know if you guys remember the story. He had that, he had that Prime logo, right? And that dude, I'll never forget this. In one of those chats was like, I am class of 65. CU should always be bigger than anything Prime. And he switched that thing up quick, boy. Because them folks was calling in like, we ain't buying that. We're not buying that.
And I suggest you guys go on Twitter to really get a feel for what kind of pushback Prime is getting from the CU faithful. It is really, and they're not really mincing words. Now, they're not being derogatory or belligerent or anything like that. They're just simply saying that Colorado existed before Deion arrived, and all those great players who contributed to the legacy of Colorado should be recognized before Travis and Shedeur. That's their foundational argument. They're not even really getting into whether Travis and Shedeur deserves to be retired or not. The argument is there's a whole host of players that contributed to the Colorado legacy that are not retired. For those guys to kind of jump the line is rather disrespectful, not only to those players, but disrespectful to the Colorado legacy.
Right, and the thing about it is Deion didn't get his damn jersey retired at Florida State to damn 6-7 years. You know what I'm saying? And he was Deion Sanders, the person that put Florida State on the map. So again, how do you equate that? Like, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? So, yeah, I see the pushback. And, again, I think – and see, again, I understand it. Travis and Shedeur. But, hey, man, Travis Hunter's Travis Hunter, okay? And I think, again, I know – and I'm just – this Travis ain't saying this, but I'm going to say this for Travis. You are allowed to carry your own flowers without anybody else because your skill is your skill. And that's the reason why Travis Hunter who he is. So my thing is, again, you're putting me, because like I said, because you know what the question I would ask Rocky, let's say Travis Hunter wasn't there. Do you think they just would still try Shadeur's jersey? And there was no cover of Travis Hunter?
No.
Exactly. No way. Wouldn't happen.
No.
And Deion knows that. Deion knows that. So
and again, there's so many different scenarios that we could pose because we know as a community, and I'm talking about Black people, how often we can be slighted in situations where we deserve recognition, our own recognition. And in this situation, I just think Shedeur is being thrown into a situation that's sort of unfair to him in that regard, in that he's going to be measured up against guys like Cordell Stewart. He's going to be measured up against other unanimous All-Americans, multiple year All-Americans. He's going to be criticized. You know what I mean? And he doesn't deserve that because he was a sensational player and deserves to be nothing but praised. But putting him in this situation, I think people are going to take the opportunity to criticize him, in my opinion. And I don't think it's, we have children, and I want to ask you this. We have children, and we definitely want our children to be successful, Mr. Campbell. And we want all, and I'll say this as a father, all four of my children, I've done things to even ensure that they have a chance for success. You understand what I'm saying as a father? But I wouldn't feel right if I put my child in a position that he didn't deserve in front of someone else's child. I don't think I would.
Well, here's the thing. I will say this, and this is why I always think Deion doesn't get a fair shake on this, right? Or it gets all this. Deion is a hell of a father. His kids love him. And that's all I need to know as a father. When your kids, and he got 5 by 2 different women, been married, and all his kids love him, and he treats his kids wonderfully. So I have no problem with, because like I said, white folks do it all the time. The man is doing what the man, Arch Manning already got hooked up. He getting millions of dollars because he's Arch Manning, because of his granddaddy and his uncles. So I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to keep it in the middle of the road. And that's the reason why I said separate the two. If I'm looking up the list that Colorado retired, and somebody funny said SWAC media is talking about Colorado. We ain't SWAC media. We just media. And we ain't even media. We just people that are having a good time on a Tuesday night. So we appreciate that you're here.
And I'll also say this. Our loyalty is not to topics or schools or anything like that. Our loyalty is to the people. And ever since we've been having this conversation about Deion, Mr. Campbell has access to the analytics just like I do. Our audience has been growing exponentially as we've been engaging this conversation. So again, we're having this conversation because obviously it has some traction with our fans and our followers, and so that's why we're having it. But speaking of fatherhood, I'd like to take a second to recognize something, and I want you guys to stay with me just for about 5 minutes. First off, I'd like to say today is my 16th anniversary with me and my lovely bride. This is our sweet 16, Mr. Campbell.
Wait a minute, you on this show? Oh man,
yeah. Well, you know, we on the tax service. So April 15th, though we got married on this day, it has a lot of significance in our family. It's not only our wedding day, but it's also the day that the deadline for our customers to get their taxes filed.
Bro, and you know that's supposed to be on your behind if you don't get that. Hey man, listen, now let me say something. Now this is what I'm calling a perfect marriage. Because y'all keep the main thing. You can't have no marriage without no money. So get that money because y'all going on a trip this weekend. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, we took a little excursion this weekend and spent time together, quality time. We had a great time with each other, and so I definitely want this. But she did something that was sensational to commemorate our family and kind of attribute to 2 things that are very, very important to us. One is our grandchildren, the other is travel. And to kind of bring these 2 things together, she wrote a children's book, Mr. Campbell. And the children's book is a journey with us and our grandkids, taking them to Puerto Rico and sharing Puerto Rican culture with them. This is a book in a series that she'll be writing 5 books. She already has 2 or 3 of them already completed, but she was able to write this book and get it published. This has been a passion project for her, and I just wanted to share this with you guys. And the book is available today. Today is the book launch, April 15th as well, and you guys can pick it up on Amazon. And I'll put the link in the chat. And so it's a great book. The illustrator was sensational. It's coupled with a tremendous story that she wrote that chronicles this is a fictitious vacation, but it's a really, really interesting story. And it marries 2 things that are very important to us, which is travel and our family. And here's my illustration right here. I don't want y'all to say anything about how I look in this illustration. The illustrator said this is how I look when I sent the pictures. And so this is the illustrator's impression of how I look. We all know I'm much more handsome in person, but the illustrator, I think she did a pretty good job. So if you have any interest and purchasing our children's book, please go to our Amazon and purchase it. It's very inexpensive, and we appreciate the support, man. I just wanted to get that in before we move on and continue. Looked like we were going to be talking about Shador and those guys before we go to our next topic. But we had a phone call and they just hung up. See, I was going to the phone call. Call if you want to call back, you can. But I want to wrap up this conversation about Shador and Travis and their numbers being retired. And let me ask you this: as someone who, like me, who's a Prime fan, who's a Shador fan, when things like this are presented to you, how do you balance being honest and speaking common sense and your fandom or your support for Deion? How do you balance those two when critiquing him like that?
The truth defends itself. I always just tell the truth. Like I say, man, I was in school when Deion was in school. I knew the hell that Florida State gave Deion. Deion had a black agent. Deion was one of the first superstars to have a black agent, Eugene Parker. So I've always admired. I've met Deion. I know Deion. Like you said, Kevin Smith is my guy. You know all them guys of my boys. I did a lot of stuff down in Dallas. So I met Deion several times. Deion is a good person. There's not one person that I've not known that directly does not say he will not help you or give us laugh. So I have no problem with that. But I also know he loves his son. You know what I'm saying? And we can say, hey, bro, you love your son, and this is where it is. Because, again, my thing is, when you start lowering the bar, then don't be mad when other people say, I want to be in the club. Don't be mad when other people say, because I know I think the guy, what's the kid from Georgia? I know it's Juju. I can't remember his last name right off that. But if that kid blows it up, hey, man, I'm his daddy too. I'm going to be his biggest boy. Hey, man, I want my son up in the rafters. 100%. And I'm going to keep it real with Deion. Especially if I win a conference championship. Come on, man.
Well, you know, if you win a conference championship, it's going to be a whole bunch of people want their numbers in the rafters. That's the thing. If you're willing to put those guys in the rafters for a good season, I think, to your point, Mr. Cameron, the bar has been set pretty low. And so, you know. But in other news, I want to bring this up because this is something that has really kind of almost taken over the NCAA news cycle the last couple of days. I'll just put it like that. And it is my man, hold on, let me bring that up. My man, Nico.
Yeah, that's your
Nico,
guy.
I've been pronouncing the name all day and I'm stuck right now. We'll just say Nico, right? If you want to try, Iamaleava. I don't want to mess the man's name up. Nico Iamaleava, leaves. Some people say he left on his own volition. Other people say he was kicked out the team. I'll let you guys decide. What do you think about that situation? Me and you've had banter about it over text. So I kind of know how you feel, but I'd like you to share your feelings about this situation with our audience and let them kind of respond to, and then I'll share my feelings and I'll let the people respond to our opinions because we're on different sides of the fence on this.
See, this is where, and again, I think I told you guys, I had a couple of partners. We had a sports agency in the late 90s, early 2000s. Had a first round pick, had a lot of guys from University of Miami, Florida State, a lot of HBCU guys. This is where proper representation matters. And this is what my issue is. Not with Nico looking for money, but the way it went down. And when you have a true agent, not your daddy that wants to be an agent, not a friend of the family that wants to be an agent, a true agent, because you know what true agents do? They go out and find out information. They find out if there is somebody that wants to pay $4 million. And you know what you do? Like any other athlete, you keep doing your thing. Let me go out and find out, Nico, if somebody's out there willing to pay $4 million. And if it is, then guess what? You at the end of the spring, you're leaving. Guess what? He put on another jersey the next day. But the thing about what they did is they looked at and counted other people's pockets. And the worst thing you can ever do is count somebody's pocket instead of knowing what your pocket is. So my biggest problem with Nico was, first of all, let's be clear, this did not happen in the spring. This actually started, which I have to let you know, started back in the bowl. He was going to sit the bowl game out. Okay, the playoff game. because he saw other guys getting $4 million. And see, my thing is, again, when you have a competent age, and again, you got literally the girl from Florida State, South Carolina. She is managed by Clutch Sports. So you talk about big time agents that are now representing underclassmen. Okay, so there's not like he could not have gotten a level set agent that would have been out and said, Nico, here are the pros and cons. But when you go, and I'm just going to tell you this, man, I grew up in SEC country. I've been around it all my life. If you think you're going to buck up against them good old white boys, they're going to let you know real quick. They will spike themselves 100%.
Hey, look what I found.
Hey, y'all know I'm computer challenged.
Oh, man, look like you figured it out, though, Coach.
But I'm in the beautiful state of Arizona, as you guys can see in the background.
Hey, it looks good, Coach. God done cut off the lights where I'm at. So,
yeah, not here yet, man. But as always, man, I apologize for getting on. But I've been trying, Coach. I've been putting it all in. I got about 5 computers out here, and my brother-in-law, man, he take care of me, man. He went and did some things, and it all popped up, and I'm happy to be here and with you guys as always.
Yeah. We to get you caught up, Coach. We had a quick discussion about, not real quick, but we had a lengthy discussion about Shedeur and Travis, their numbers being retired at Colorado, and then responding to some of the pushback that he's getting from the Colorado faithful. A lot of people that are Colorado loyalists, to be frank with you, they're not happy about Travis and Shedeur's numbers being retired before guys like Cordell Stewart and Darian Hagan and Eric Bieniemy and other All-Americans who played and won championships at Colorado.
Right. This kind of I'm tell you, I got to side with them. This is more like a money thing. You know what I'm saying? It's more like a draw. It seems to it's something that's real. I think the schools will stand there when Travis and Shedeur move on, and it'll be there. And I think they'll have a time. I believe when you're talking about the Hall of Fame or putting somebody's jersey up, yes, the numbers do count, but there's a criteria because there always were people before you, like a Cordell Stewart, like the Heisman Trophy winner, and many, many more, and I think it's a process. I fight with my school about some of the same things about, I know the Hall of Fame is a thing that is a money deal, but it got to be ran right, and I'm with the people from Colorado. I think it's too fast. I think they will be in there. There's no question about it. They've made enough money there, so it ain't a money issue in the athletic department. And I just be honest, it ain't like they won't ever be in there. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't know the back behind it. Is it a goal, or is it they still talking and chawing on it? Because if I was in that mix, I definitely would vote against it.
Man, they doing it Saturday night, Coach. It's having Saturday.
I think Thursday. I thought it was the 17th, but
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was at their spring game or whatever.
Yeah, and the spring game is televised.
Right. They didn't do it with the other Heisman guy, Rashawn. They didn't.
His number is retired.
Yeah, but did they do it?
Not during the year that he got it.
Did they do that with Cordell Stewart? No, it took place. So,
Coach, this is something that you've always talked about me, to me, on different phone conversations that we've had, is that you've always said for these kind of things, you need a committee and a criteria already set before you start considering somebody. Set up the criteria, set up the committee, and then you can start considering guys. Because if you do it by virtue of favoritism or who likes who, you'll end up in a situation like this where it's, just because of relationship, guys are being inducted, and it's not really truly on merit.
I think it's a thing. You want $10 a day, and if you do it right, you'll get $1,000 tomorrow. Like I told you guys, I'm arguing with my school as well about doing things right. You can't always be right, when you're doing the Hall of Fame. But there's some people who walk through Colorado. There's some people who walk through Texas Southern and some of these other universities that actually helped and was at the time those type of guys. So it definitely got to be a criteria. You're always going to miss a guy, but you can't, and their numbers are good, and they're going to have that time and that opportunity to flourish, just not right now. I think the university, I think it's some guys that went through there, man, this blood, sweat, and tears. And Colorado ain't always been a losing program. There's a lot of guys that have came through there, man, that I think is better deserving now. I think it's just an opportunity that they've helped put the school on the map per se, but they just done what they supposed to do. And that's win football games. Deion Sanders came there and they, and they gave them the things that they needed to do to perform at that level.
Let me ask you this, Coach, before we move on. Could something like this assist in wearing out his welcome at Colorado?
Well, man, I mean, things like that, I think they'll always be welcome there, by somebody. You know what I mean? And the thing is that hopefully both young men don't get sour grapes from it, because they probably gonna get some boos. It's gonna be some people against it as well as for it. So I hope that don't happen, but I just think that's too early. Let them go ahead and go to pros, which they're gonna go, and do a 5-year deal. I think the Hall of Fame is you got to at least be out of the lead over 5 years. And I think that's a good criteria for any and everywhere. In college, when I'm talking about a board, I put a Hall of Fame on it at my institution, the Football Hall of Fame, and I actually went back and found some of the oldest people that were still supporting us. So I put them on the committee. I put the people that's new on the committee. I put some, and so since it was the first time we had done it since 1996, I took 2 players from each era, to kind of put on there. TSU started back in 1954. Even though we had actually the first All-American that was still living, we actually were able to put him in, and we just went all the way up, through Mike Strahan, of course, and Daryl Colbert and Donald Narcisse, and that's kind of how I done it, and it turned out it was a great event. We raised a lot of money, and we didn't have anybody or fighting saying, hey, man, I should have been on it. You know what I mean? Now we're having one, and I don't want to, us HBCU guys, Rocky, we try to keep stuff to the best, but since it's our show and we are HBCU, I have that same argument with my university. I don't want to say who, but it is what it is, and I think it hurts. I think it hurts and it turns away people as well that maybe want to give to the university.
Okay. All right. And the last little bit about that, I may know something you don't know because Campbell shared it with us. Do you know Walter Payton's number is not retired at Jackson State?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So
and they need to do a better job there as well. And Doug Williams. We talked about Doug Williams. At his 25th anniversary of winning the Super Bowl, they were letting him go after the 3rd game. You know what I mean? So it's if you don't know, you don't know. And Campbell we always talk about these athletic directors and their backgrounds and stuff like that. But when you don't know, you don't know. And I just think that Hall of Fame thing is a delicate thing. And it's a lot of people that have backup, have done great things, man, and have been overlooked, and it's a shame that happens on the college level. And the pros, they try to do it the right way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we just before you came on, we started talking about.
And one other thing about that too, it's a difference between retiring your jersey and retiring your number. When they retire your number, they actually take it out. When they retire your jersey, they actually have the jersey that you played in.
Okay. Well, this is the other deal, and this is something I really want your opinion on. As you say, you see me and Campbell have been bantering back and forth. Campbell brought up the point that a lot of people are taking shot at Nico, and ultimately this situation has arisen basically because of lack of representation. If you want to continue with that, Mr. Campbell, I think that's where you left off when you were before Coach jumped on.
That's my thing about having an agent, because the way the process would have worked is, okay, fine, he wants more money. He sees him and his team sees the landscape. Carson Beck got $4 million from Miami. This guy got $3 million. I'm getting 2.4. So then first of all, you got to find someone that's willing to give you the money. Okay, that's the first thing. Second of all, if you want Tennessee, you have a casual conversation with the coach. Hey, coach, actually, it's not even the coach; it's the collective. Okay, see, let's be clear. It's not the coach. I think we got to understand that too. You go to the guy and see. That's what I'm saying. Much more informal with a collective. You could just say, hey, my guy's kind of looking for more money. What do you guys look at? You bring some more money. Maybe the dialogue is a little bit better. Well, let's see. Or then the collector says no. And then you say, hey, man, listen, let's sit tight. Because remember, Nico's a freshman. Okay? He's a freshman. You have another great season. Let the market set itself. Then you already got people coming after you. See, that's another thing, too, which, again, when you got your dad and people like that, you got to understand how things laid out. So now guess what happens? You go out there, so of course the University of Tennessee, the ESPN machine with Paul Finebaum are all gonna slam on this boy. And I'm gonna say this because this is me and this is my blackness talking. If this was a black kid, he would have got way worse. He is lucky. If this was a black kid, it would not even be close to where they were tearing him up. He is lucky he's Polynesian. So I'm just telling you, that's just my personal opinion. So you get this machine against you, and now all these schools are going to collude. First of all, he can't transfer to any school in the SEC. Okay, right. So you got to think about the school that have the money, right? You already the major conference that spends that money, you can't go there. So then, what you got to look at the Big 12. The Big 12 and the SEC work together. Well, Andy was the one that told Heupel what this boy was doing. So you don't think these schools are not going to collude against him to make him an example, to let him know you're not going to get that money?
Well, the big schools with the big money is Texas A&M. Maybe Texas Tech and SMU that can go get the money.
But Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, so they can't touch him anyway.
Yeah, right. When you guys sent me that, first thing I said was somebody in this camp. I don't blame the kid, I blame the camp. And I'm like you, Coach. You're just a freshman, man. We're gonna give you $2 million from the collective. Then you ain't even talked about your NILs. You're going to get an NIL because you're a big-time player. You know what I mean? And that's, again, you said it so gracefully, Campbell, that's what your agent come in for. What is he for? And I think the people in the camp guided this kid in the wrong direction. And what is this about a Bugatti? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a fake story. That's not real.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's that got to do with it?
Well, let me give you my opinion. One, I believe this is a free market, a true free market economy that the NCAA operates in. There is no regulatory group that sets the guidelines for this. And basically is that the player goes to the highest bidder. Now, we've already realized that coaches and both collectives have misinformed and misled players and their families the past 2 years. I think there's a number of instances where that has happened, right? Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that's really binding in this space right now, right? And with revenue sharing on the horizon, we don't know what guardrails each conference are going to put up around what the revenue share limitations or salary cap is, right? So I think Nico is in a situation where this may be the last year he could possibly get $4 million based on how the House settlement
Okay,
pans out.
let me clear that up. See, this is what a lot of people, so this is why this HBCU coach, that's not true. Okay, let me explain to you what this is. The revenue share is from the schools. Okay?
I get it.
Wait a minute. So hold on. If you get it, then you're going to let me understand because you're saying something that's not right. You can still get NIL marketing dollar deals. Okay?
Right.
There won't be any. So he can still, if somebody wants, and again, they're going to change the name to collectors or sponsorships or whatever. But if if Dr. Pepper wants to give him a advertising deal, Dr. Pepper still could do that.
But that's not what's happening now, though.
But that's what I'm saying is,
But
again,
it's
they'll
got
just use
potential.
another name.
It should have potential to happen, and that's what his agents are for.
But what I'm saying is, this is pay for play. The situation that Nico's in. This is not an NIL situation.
Well, no,
play.
technically, legally, it's not supposed to be. See, that's what I'm saying. So no, because let me tell you this. And again, researching this, one of the things, again, like we all know Spence Zone, right? But one of the things that the collector said, he wasn't showing up for autograph signings and things like that. That he was very difficult to work with. Now, I don't know. I wasn't there and I don't care. But I know what the business deal works on these certain things. So my point of it is, again, if you have a deal, well, they clearly were paying him the money. So he never said they didn't pay me. Okay? He wanted more money. So he was going to get his $2.4 million next year with no problem. So let's understand that. So,
Mr. Campbell, this is my point. I don't believe the kid doesn't enter the transfer portal in the January-December window if they tell him, no, we're not giving you any more money. Because my point is he would just enter the portal at that point to get more money. There had to be a situation where they were negotiating with him, and then in the midst of negotiations, they decided they were no longer going to pay him. Or
well, no.
Let me just say this last thing.
He wanted more money. See, I have a deal with you. The 2.4 is good. He wanted $4 million.
My point is, if they tell him no in January, if they tell him no, then he gets to make a decision of whether or not he wants to play for 2.4. If they string him along and say, hey, Nico, we're going to try to get you more money from the collectives, just hang on, just stay in school, go through spring ball, and we're going to get you more money. If that's the conversation they had with him, that's in poor faith. That's not in good faith.
Right. We don't have a lot of information, and I see what he's saying, Campbell, is back when the portal opened up, if they wouldn't go, but, they wouldn't go play fair. You know what I mean? They thought they could talk, and they thought they could hold him long enough where he couldn't put his name in the portal. Because believe me, if he really just put his name in the portal back in December, he'd have got $4 million. You know what I mean? But $2 million, man, $4 million. This kid is on the line to go to the NFL and be drafted in the first round. I just think his camp wasn't smart. He should have locked some in before, like done it within the door. Are y'all gonna give me the money? You ain't. Oregon, I'm gonna accept the deal, the $4 million and sign it. But to have it linger on like that and go back and forth, and coaches talk, you know what I mean? And a lot of coaches really ain't for these guys getting paid, because
absolutely
now you running into situations like this, and you don't taught a kid your whole offense and leader of the team, and then tomorrow he gone for more money. It's a tough situation for coaches. Let me ask you, Rocky, I'll put you in the seat as a coach. How would you feel that you've got a kid like this and you've offered him $2 million, and all of a sudden now he want $4 million, but then he got a whole list of people he would be talking to?
Again, it's as a coach, one, you're not supposed to be talking money with the kid anyway, right? Mm-hmm. That's the reality in today's climate. However, if the collective told him that they were going to get him more money, they should get him more money. And if the collective tells him no, then Nico has to decide to play under those conditions. I can't see a way where Nico takes a hard line in April about $4 million when, to your point, Campbell, he makes this request in January, and they say, we're not going to pay you. And he doesn't enter the portal. He doesn't seek other options. I don't see how that's possible that this just comes up now as an option if they didn't tell him they were going to try to get him more money.
So you saying that you feel that Tennessee let him on?
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
And then turned on him and said, no, they not.
No doubt about it.
Well, hell, his talent is still there. I can't even believe that. His talent is still there, right? And he's $4 million. He's put up $4 million numbers, right?
Wait, says who? Wait, see, that's the thing.
I couldn't see that.
Says who? See, that's the thing. Says who? See, again, the market is the market. The market determines what your worth is. So again, because let me tell you what a lot of people have broken down. They looked at his breakdown. Majority of his touchdown were against lower level competition. The good competition, he was 50-50. They started looking at all these things. And my problem again, and right, this is what I'm talking about having proper representation. See, what you're thinking about, he's not supposed to be thinking about. His representation is supposed to be thinking that.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, if he would have had
told him, his representation should have told him just what you just said. Hey, here's your stats. Here's the way they're looking at it.
Well,
we're good.
See, these are the comments that I take issue with, right? Because he hasn't even top 10 QB in FBS. Neither has Mensa. Mensa isn't a top 10 quarterback. Neither is Carson Beck. He's not a top 10 quarterback. And both of those guys got $4 million. Not even the kid who went to Auburn who got $3 million. He's not even a top quarterback. And Arch Manning has gotten $8 million, and he hadn't even played yet.
Here's
what makes you value? What makes you worth $4 million? Somebody just has to be one person has to be willing to pay it. That's all. Just one.
What makes it $4 million is the people who are making decisions, from the coach to the AD to the money. All right. It's more than just what you do on the football field. I don't know this kid's off-field attitude. I don't know about his leadership skills, but some of these kids bring more than just numbers to their offense. Some coaches feel, man, we can't go far without this guy. So to make sure that we don't lose him, we're going to pay him top dollar. Evidently, Tennessee looked at what we're looking at now, his numbers, and saying he's not a top 10 guy. Then we doing good.
I'll take issue with Carson Beck's situation.
Hold on, wait. Let me just say, wait. Hold on. I want to make a point. Hold on. I want to add something to Blue. Because here's the thing. He's in the portal now. If he was worth $4 million, he would sign with somebody. So
I agree. I can't argue with that.
So that's what Blue is saying is that, bro, he's in the portal.
I believe they poisoned the well on him, though. Listen,
if that kid, to your point, wait a minute, hold on. If that kid, to your point, let's say he was Cam Newton, and they said he stole whatever, guess what? Somebody would give him $4 million if they thought it was worth it. Now, come on, man.
No, again, I think there's going to have to be some courageous coach that would be willing to negotiate with him in good faith. And my point is with Carson Beck is injured. So anything that he was, you can count that, but it's to evaluate an injured quarterback at $4 million, that's a risky proposition. That's something that I wouldn't have done.
Once again, I think his camp have done this kid a disservice, not doing their homework, greedy to me. $2 million is shit. 200,000,000, man, and NIL deal, and go ahead on and play, and move to the next of his career, man. I just think they did this kid.
And again, I just ultimately, I hope this kid, aside from money, right? I always go with the fit situation, and I think that's what Nico should do now. If he gets $4 million, $5 million, $10 million, $100 million, but I think he needs to play at a school like a UCLA or USC, a school like that, right? I don't think, again, Hyper was a good coach. Supposedly his system is quarterback friendly. Let him play with the true freshmen. Let him roll his team out with the redshirt freshman. He went to the playoffs last year with Nico. Let's see how Josh Heupel fares with these two quarterbacks that he has now, and we'll see how it goes. That's what Josh Heupel is risking, that the guys on his roster can do what Nico did.
No, he's not risking that because he's got the number one quarterback coming in class of 2026. So he got a placeholder for 1 year. He's got the number one.
What I'm saying is Nico wanted it for next year. They're going to save money this year, obviously, at quarterback. They won't have to pay 2.5, but he's going to have to line up against Alabama with a true freshman or a redshirt freshman.
But I'm telling you, he's got the number one quarterback coming in the following year. So that's what I'm telling you. Man, that's what people don't understand. As they say, the name on the front of the jersey never changes. It's the name on the back that changes. Like that's what. I'm gonna say this for them. Hey man, I've been to Rocky Top, 100,000 strong.
And at 2026, you know that could change in the blink of an eye, couldn't it?
I guarantee Josh Heupel will be there to coach that kid.
No. I'm talking about the kid being committed to Josh Heupel.
Well, but that's the thing about it. They know the money game. See, this is the thing about it. Now he might get $4 million.
But ain't nothing guaranteed about these freshman kids that coming in. You know, you got people ranking these kids, man, and some of these people ain't never even picked up a football. You know what I mean? He might be coming from 3A or 5A or 6A or. You know, we don't know it. Whether it's coming from Texas football, Florida football, Ohio football, California, or is he coming from Indiana?
So Coach,
they don't play football.
So, Coach, let me ask you this, Coach, because this is one of my main sticking points. If the kid enters the portal, you cut him, and you say you don't want him on your team anymore, why not let him get in the portal, shop himself, and if it turns out that you guys are the best fit for him, why not just accept him back under the already existing terms? What would be wrong with that? You mean Tennessee? If he's worth it, he needs to find out if he's worth it.
Tennessee take him back?
Yes. Why do you say I'm not putting up with that? You're not getting $4 million. I got this deal for you, but why not cut his option off to come back? If you truly think he's not worth $4 million, let him go on an open market without poisoning the well, without tainting his reputation, without making him seem like the scapegoat. Let him go on the portal with a clean reputation and a clean record, without all of this bullshit, saying all these negative things about him. And if in fact he can't get $4 million, take him back or not.
Well, all I have to say of being in the game for 40 years, Coach, is about the character of the people making the decisions. You know, and some coaches, you know, they get personal with kids. You know, fortunate for me, you know, I hadn't had to.
You say it gets personal. Why would it get personal, Coach?
Well, because, you know, now, you know, you've put Heupel in a situation. He's getting calls too now. He's getting calls. People are talking about him on all type of different media outlets on the same thing that you just said, and why would you not take the kid back? And this kid don't let us here, and you know, and then you don't know what on the other half of what the kid have said and done, you know, and evidently Heupel didn't think enough of this kid to bring him back. Because look, he would always been welcome back. You know, okay, son. Look,
okay, now you're talking, Coach. Now you're really talking.
4 million, we got 2 million. I'm thinking about one thing, you know, and a lot of guys. But when you're paying a coach $9 and $10 million, you know what I mean? He ain't worried about being fired for not bringing this kid back.
But Coach, he ain't coming back.
100,000 or 300,000. You thinking about I gotta win, so yeah, come on back.
But Coach, wait a minute. But see, you guys keep missing the thing. That means he's coming back for $2.4 million.
I agree.
He said he's not playing for that. That's why he left. Yeah. So you can't just wipe that away.
Well, you know, a lot of kids say a lot of things, man. And at the end of the day, if
he's truly not worth it, why not have a press run that sounds like this? Nico's welcome to come back. He decided to explore other options. We're going to go ahead with the two guys that we have. If he doesn't come back, Nico's a great kid. I'm sure there may be someone out there that'll meet his demands. We're not able to meet it financially, but if he decides to come back to Tennessee, he certainly is welcome here.
All right,
we
Coach,
always have a place for
I'm gonna ask you this
Nico.
question because this is what Tennessee said. So, Coach, you tell me this. You got a guy, your leader of your team. You got all the young players watching this guy, and this guy sits out spring practice, and then you let him just roll back in there. What you think them other 100 guys going to do?
But no, them guys have followed Nico. I mean, he's proved his point. I mean, you know, when you look at the head coach over at South Carolina, what's her name? The girls' coach, the women's coach. She had number 12, one of her top players, got in the portal. You know what I mean? But she told her if it don't happen for you, you know, you can always come back to South Carolina. And look where they went. They went back to the championship. I talked with Coach Shea. He lost a couple kids, you know, from Alabama A&M, and he kind of liked the portal, meaning he don't believe in, okay, if you get in the portal, then I don't want you no more. Now, of course, guys, we're talking about different levels as well, you know, and then, of course, we're talking about basketball to football. I've talked with Coach Robinson over at Alabama State. He lost a couple kids to the portal, but he made sure that he told them if you don't get what you need, you're always welcome back to come here. So,
okay, so
I just think it's the personality of the coach.
See. Okay, I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna get. It says it will make the coach look weak. It would make the coach look human, and understanding that he's beholden to the kid. He doesn't have a program if the kids don't decide or volunteer to go to him. This is the mentality. This is the bullshit mentality that's pervasive all over college sports right here, is that he quit on the team in the middle of spring practice. That's a narrative that's just categorically false.
Like he did. Wait. It ain't no there. He did.
He was negotiating a better deal for himself.
Right. No, well, you still can come to practice, Rocky.
He was negotiating a better deal for himself.
You know what? Can he still come to practice? Yes or no? Can he still come to practice?
Without risking injury?
Rocky, okay. He's already getting paid. He is not an NFL free agent. He's getting paid. Okay? He's not an NFL free agent where there's no contract out there.
What he's getting paid is not to his liking. He doesn't agree with what he's getting paid.
We have NFL players that come to practice and say, you know what?
Holdouts are nothing new in pro sports. You know that. You're an agent.
Okay. I'm going to say this again. And you have players that come to camp and say, you know what? Michael Parsons is in camp right now. He came. He's there. He wants a new deal. Okay?
I think
they're negotiating with Michael Parsons.
I think Rocky hit it on the head because this new thing is coming into college, and these kids want more money. You can't knock them. They're kids, number one. They still developing, number two, and it's just like in the pro. What's the difference between the pros now and college now? If a kid can go make more money, then I got to shake the kid's hand, because first, as a coach, you got to have passion for.
Man, this is coach. This is the plantation mentality right here. You don't own the kid because he doesn't come to practice. That means he quit on his team. That's plantation mentality. Y'all have a practice tomorrow.
What you say, Rocky? We supposed to pick 50.
You get his money right, and he'll show up.
Look, he said we're supposed to pick 50 buckets of cotton.
No,
we only got 20 buckets of cotton.
I'm not gonna let y'all do that. What I'm not gonna let y'all do is what you're trying to do.
No. That's plantation mentality.
Coach, hold on, Coach. Let me ask you a question. Yes. I'm gonna say this again. No, it's not a plantation, bro. You're gonna tell me you just gonna let Coach? You gonna hold on, Coach? Now you are a championship coach.
Yes, sir.
And you're telling me. Now, mind you, the kid is getting paid. See, I want to be clear. I understand he's negotiating. And you're going to tell me that you're going to be okay with that kid missing practice and be like, all right? Now, you're a coach. Forget me and Rocky. You're a coach.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't even let people, because you didn't want people not to have dreads in their head. You didn't want people, you want people to wear suits. So don't come to me, coach, and try to change, because I will pull up, listen, don't make me pull up shows where you went on rants about people being late, about people being professional and all that. So don't do it. So now you either be consistent or come on now. Don't play that game with me. Now, coach, I'll be honest.
Of course, now this is a different time in college football, coach. And I have let kids have quit my team and said they were going somewhere else and things didn't happen, and I was able to let them come back on the football team. I've done those things. Have they missed practice and all that? No. That would be something that I would have to really sit down and evaluate. But when you're talking about the quarterback of your football team, and my job as a coach at the end of the day, no matter, is to help develop young people and all that, I got to win football games too. Evidently, somewhere down the line, Coach Hippo must think a lot about these two guys coming in. I just can't think that if he didn't feel that these two guys could come in and do the job, I think it'd be like Rocky said, he will come back and he'll allow him to come back. I don't believe in the one
because the guy wanted more money. Hypo severed the relationship with the school. That's not how you treat somebody you care about, bro. That's not how you treat somebody that you value. That's not how you treat somebody, Coach. Right. Man, Campbell, if you came to me and say, Rock, I'm not showing up tonight, I need more money, we can talk about it next week. And I say, okay, I appreciate you not showing up. Thank you for giving me a heads up. We'll negotiate next week. And next week, I may have to come back and say, we couldn't come to an agreement. Campbell's doing his own thing. He's moving on. That's what respect looks like. Respect doesn't look like.
Okay, well, let me tell you the respect in my household looks like. You come to practice, you work with the collector to try to get more money, and you be a leader to show that you're not going to be distracted, because the thing what this also shows to me is that you're easily distracted. And if stuff don't go your way, you out.
Now, so let me ask you this, Coach. Do we know that Hypo gave him off and said, hey, when you negotiate that? Because like you said earlier, Hypo couldn't talk to him about money. All he could talk to him about is playing the game. Am I correct?
Yes. Correct.
Yes.
And Coach,
yes.
And he probably told him, and my thing is, again, you got to come to practice. You need to be at practice. If you and then again, and you can read, and this is all online. There were issues in that locker room that Coach Hypo started looking at the guy like, well, hold on now. So he ain't got to show up, but we do. And there's other guys got NIL deals too. Now they might not be 2.4 million,
right?
But again, and let me say this, and again, Rock, I'm gonna let you have the floor. You guys do realize, even on, and Coach, you know this. We have coaches in the SWAC. If a guy hit the portal, they're like, hey man, you go home. Because we want people that want to be here. And I've heard that from more than one coach. That when guys have played that tiptoe dance, that they say, hey, man, I'd rather for you to go home if you don't want to be here.
Well, you got, as a coach, I just think you got to keep your eyes on the goal, man. And now if where you are, of course, I coached at 1AA level. Where you are, your best players might go. But I'll be honest, and I'm strict now. I'm a disciplined guy. I would always take kids back, especially if he was a good kid. But if he was a troublemaker on the team, then I have a problem with that.
Because he didn't do. Because listen. You guys are keep changing the thing. To Rocky's point, what he could have done to Rocky's, and what your point is, he goes to practice. You know what? I'm going to hit the portal. Then everything is good on either side. Because
here's the answer to your question, Coach. If I know this kid wants more money, all right, and this kid has took me to the playoffs and done some great things and a good kid, and he's saying, Coach, man, I got to go chase this bag. I'm going to say, okay, go ahead on and chase the bag. I understand. That's where we are in the days. You were a good kid here. You came to practice. You led us where you wanted to go. Hey, man, that's the thing now. You go chase it. We'll be here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the route that I would go.
Well, let me say this, Zach, and I think
I'm sorry, Coach. Let me go ahead. Why I wouldn't care if he missed practice, Coach? Because if he gone. At least I can get the other kids some reps to see where I'm at with my program to go. Because to me, it would have been better if he gone for the spring. When he practice, you go chase your money. Let me get these other two or these three quarterbacks ready, because I got a season to play this year. But I also, as a coach, got to understand it's a new day and time. And I'm glad you asked that, because, if I get another opportunity, I'll be honest, man. We here to help these kids and push them push them forward, man. And unfortunately, man, I don't hold bitter stuff like that against kids that want to go do better stuff for themselves. Now, if they troublemakers, Bishop, they troublemakers, and they were troublemakers during my program. Yeah, they moved to another.
So this is the thing that and Coach, follow me on this, and I want to address this first before I go there. Zach, I don't have the leverage to not show up to my job and negotiate for a contract, right? I don't have the leverage to do that. I don't even play like I have the leverage to do that, right? However, there's a option for a kid to enter the portal, and also be part of a team, like a lot of kids did this past winter, where they were part of a team and also played in bowl games. So I think there was a way to respectfully deal with this situation without the coach making a spectacle around this kid by kicking him off the team. Now, I want to say this, man, because this bugs me. Like, Saban released a statement, or somebody released a statement for Saban saying he's proud of Coach Heupel taking a stand against players. This is nonsense. We shouldn't be allowing players to bully the programs and dictate terms. Coaches should be coaches, and they should be. Where does that come from? The fact of the matter is the guys have the right to negotiate where they play and the terms for which they will play. And because there's the transfer portal is open 2 times a year, they have those 2 windows in order to deal with, 3 times a year, really, in order to deal with those circumstances. And guess what? The deal can change. That's why you have to make your relationship solid with your players.
That's not the issue, though. That's not the issue. The issue, he did not. Okay, let's be clear. He wanted more money way before spring practice. Okay, let's start there. Let's start the clock back in December, January. They have spring practice. He did not show up for spring practice. That was the issue. Okay, he wanted more money, so he said, "I'm going to hold out." That's what, and again, he has a right to do it.
He missed 1 practice, according to the report.
Listen, man, it's some people. Listen,
and it was the day before the spring game,
and which is important.
That's maybe, Coach, he may have realized at that point they weren't going to get the money right. He went through the entire spring practice and they realized they weren't going to get the money right.
Well, then he leaves. He was going to leave anyway. So why are you mad the way he left?
No. What I'm upset is that because he entered the portal and then Coach Heupel said he's been kicked off the team, he can't come back, right? Like he has done something wrong. And now these coaches are piling on saying that they appreciate him Coach Heupel taking a hard line because they don't want to be pushed around by these players. These players ain't pushing around. If you don't want the guy's services, tell him you don't want his services and let him move on. Don't make him think he's going to get something that he's never going to get. That's wrong. And if you had told him in January when they say he was thinking about sitting out for the playoff game, if you just told him, hey, you're not going to get $4 million, then he can make a decision of what he wants to do with the rest of his career. But as long as you string him along just to extract his talent out of him, that's the old system, man. And the old system is over.
Well, the old system is a system where Tennessee got the system is Tennessee's system, and he just let it. And I'm going to refer by he didn't say he kicked him off the team. I want to say, man, let's stop misquoting the thing. Because first of all, and again, he said, there is nobody bigger than the T. Okay, that's what he said.
I think too. I think we're missing some, and I think both sides are right. I think you're right, Bishop, because they've been paying this kid since high school. So there's some loyalty. There's some things that Tennessee feel about this kid of saying, look, we've been with you all the way, from high school, and I see what you're saying too, Rocky, as far as saying, hey, let the kid go. You know what I mean? But if it don't happen for him, you ought to let him back. Is that what you're saying, Rocky?
Yeah. Just be respectful about it. That's all I'm saying. Heupel didn't have to make a statement. He doesn't make a statement about every kid that goes in the portal.
You don't have every kid that's your starting quarterback, Rocky, that's talking about I wanted $4 million. Come on, man. You comparing apples to oranges.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good deal. But I mean, shit, Coach, they've been paying that kid for a long time, boy.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
His total deal was $8 million if he'd have stayed.
Right. And they gave him $350 in high school. Yeah. The Attorney General of Tennessee sued so he could get the money. Come on, man. It's like what are we talking about here? And like I say, man, I'm just gonna say to Coach, you can say this, but Coach, I'm just telling you, and again, discipline is discipline and order is order. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna say this. In my career, I've had a lot of people work for me. 300-400 people. And I have one simple rule. Do not be late. And if you're going to be late, because before you walk out the door, you know you're going to be late. You know you're going to be late before you walk out unless it's a car accident or something, right? Call me and just let me know. Don't not let me know. Because if you're late, because then everybody else starts coming late. Then there's a break in order. That's why every place I've had or ever worked, I've always got that place because everybody is going to be on time and handle business. And Coach, you know this. So if you get a guy, your quarterback, that again comes and says, you know what, I want to go, and this is going to be the holdout tactic. Well, Rocky, what happens when the whole defense does that next spring?
Right.
They see him doing that. See, that's what I'm saying. Come on, man. So no, you can't allow that because don't say that can't happen. Because they're following
my point is when we do that, Mr. Campbell, we're retroactively going back to a world where you have to wrangle people in by one set of rules so that nobody strays off the reservation.
Well, Rocky, football teams are always about discipline. And this goes to the pro. Look, they literally had a video of the new coach of the New England Patriots saying, listen, I need you guys to be on time. I need you not to have your phone. Don't have hoodies on. He's telling pros this.
Hey, Coach, and I think setting expectations is the way to go in any business, in any capacity. Setting expectations is the key. However, in this particular situation, right? Mm-hmm. What should have been the protocol? And I'll ask you, Mr. Campbell, since you are an agent, what's the protocol for asking for more money in this situation?
But that's what I'm saying. To me, this was simple. This is what I'm saying why he doesn't have an agent. And I'm talking about people like Clutch Sports, Athletes First, those guys like that, CAA. This is so simple. And okay, I'll give you an example. Coach talked about Malaysia Fulawale, right? When you're in the portal, there's a part where you can say, do not contact. You know why they say that? Because they already know where they're going. So don't even call me. Because you know her agent has already talked to whoever she's going, be it Ole Miss, North Carolina, Notre Dame. They already got that deal worked out. Before she got a porter, she knew where she was going. Okay?
Let me say this, Rocky, so you understand about a football team. You know, the best team in the world is the military. You know, everybody cut the hair. You served in the military before.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you ain't running it like that, man, you ain't winning football games. You know what I mean? And everybody's got to be a part of the program. But at the end of the day,
we know what the money is right when we sign up, Coach. We know what the money is. The money is not even up for discussion once we sign up.
Well, they know, Rocky, the money is already up. He's still $2.4 million. So you can't act like it's some new money.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, you as the head coach, you in charge, and I get it. If a player is acting out and you know running and chasing for money, and then we sitting over here, I get what Mr. Campbell's saying, you know. But in the instance, like I told you guys as a coach, you got to win football games. I know what Nick Saban said. It's a difference when you talking about 1A, when you got 4 guys behind each other that's all Americans. You know what I mean? And when you got those type of people, but you know, when you coach it on a different level, you know, you got to take some of that, Campbell. You got to take a kid kind of acting a little like he a little better than everybody else. Just long as he don't become cancer on the football team. You know, if he's coming cancer and then he's getting this kid to do this and then this kid, then you got to make a decision that he don't respect the program. I don't know if this kid after being there 2 years and leading them to the playoffs, I don't think, you know, I never met the kid. I don't think he disrespects University of Tennessee football program. I think he was just after
Coach, you told me you got thousands of stories, but one story I always remember that was that was kind of interesting. You said that you suspended a player right before a game.
Yeah.
Right? And though you wanted him had to have nothing else to do with the team, at that point on, you thought that it wasn't your decision to make at that point. And you said, I'm going to let the team make the decision because he's been here with us through spring practice. He's been here with us through fall camp. Kid may have had a bad day. I can suspend the player. This is the terms in which he can come back to the team, but I'm going to let y'all vote. And you let the team vote. Right?
Yeah, right.
You didn't have to, but that's the route you went, right?
Right.
You also had another situation, and I'll tie the two together, that a guy came to you and said, this guy who runs a 4-3, the guy, I'm gonna play somebody else because he can't remember the plays. He don't know where to line up, coach. And I'm gonna play this guy that runs a 4-6 because I like him better anyway. He's a better player. And you told him,
a coach.
I need a new coach. If you can't get this guy that runs 4-3 ready to play, then I need a new coach. My point is saying that you've always put the onus on the coach to be the bigger, better person in the profession. You never left it up. You never wanted to punish the kid because of your ego or a coach's inadequacies. How do you manage that when these kids from day one want money? They want money. And that you have to make sure that each kid is happy with the money before we can go anywhere else. That's fundamental to the climate we're in. And if a kid is unhappy with the money, as a coach, you got to send him to somebody who can help him understand the opportunity y'all have and the money that's available. Otherwise, you can't blame him for being disgruntled because everybody is getting paid. Everybody is an expectation of getting paid. And the adults have to be the adults, and you can't punish a kid for wanting more money.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, coach, in college instead of in pro, because you're still working with kids developing 16, 17, 18 years old. And that's where Nick Saban comes at. And that's why he went on to retire, because it actually started taking that away from you as a coach. And you can't recruit kids and then teach them everything you know, and then they run off because they're not loyal to you. It's a personal thing with me that I never ever want to get personal with a kid. You know what I mean? And I think what they're doing today with the money stuff is doing coaches that way. I mean, you're putting your time in, you're inviting him to your family. He's with your daughter, he's walking your dog, and then all of a sudden he leaves you for more money. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunate, I'm just speaking because I hadn't coached in that era, this era now that you have. But I just know me as a human being and being from a large family, the human part of me going to always be first. And if I did have some kids like that have been good in the program, that hadn't left any cancer, you know what I mean, that have done everything that he's supposed to do with my program, I just think that's a part of coaching now. I'll shake his hand and I'll let him know, hey, man, look, I hope you get with your – now what I might do now is put a deadline on it, that – I got to move forward too with my program. I might not go through spring ball and sit there and don't know if I got him coming in the fall. I think, like you said earlier, Rocky, I'd have let him know back in December. I'll talk to the people who's making the pay, because you got to be fair by the kid, right? That if we can pay that, let's pay that. Hey, Nick, wait, we can't pay that. If that's what you want, man, we're going to shake hands and we're going to hug. I wish you well on finding way back. So put your name in the portal. I'm good. But if you come back here, you got to go through spring ball. And that's where I'm agreeing with you, Bishop. By the time spring ball call, we done.
We should be through talking about money.
Yeah, we done. You know,
that's what we
can offer you. If you can go get more, you get more. But when this spring ball comes, we ready to rock and roll.
Well, let me say this, Coach, and this is one of the things I think that certain coaches. I had a conversation with a coach who works for a Power 5 program, and he said the coach that he works for, one of the deals when he brought kids that were gonna commit or whatever, he used to bring them to his house, let his wife bake them cookies, feed them cookies, do all that kind of stuff or whatever. And he says it really hurt him to realize that none of that stuff matters anymore. None of that stuff matters. The fact that his wife makes homemade oatmeal and chocolate chip cookies and serves them to the kids, and and all that kind of stuff. They get invited to his house, and the parents come to his house, and they get to really bond. This group of whatever 20 freshmen, they come all in or whatever. He said he hates that doesn't matter. He says the first question they ask, and they don't even want to listen to you until you answer the question, how much?
How much?
And I don't know why coaches who have salaries have escalated exponentially at all levels, from high school all the way to the pros. Football coaching salaries have grown exponentially. Why do they take it so personally when the kids have that fundamental question, how much? Because they have, obviously, the reason why coaches' salaries have been appreciating over the past 20 years is because coaches have been asking, what, coach?
How much?
How much?
I don't think it's everywhere. Of course, I'm in the I hear a bunch of coaches. I don't think it's everywhere where coaches are making that kind of money. But at the major schools, of course, they are. I mean, I think the lower paid coach probably now is at $350 probably. You know what I mean? That's $30,000.
Eddie George makes $600 at Bowling Green.
Right. So I don't think that's necessarily, but when you build that relationship with a kid, and you get him where he playing ball, and you put that much time into him, you just got to keep it. I've always just kept my personal feelings out and always remain that we're here to help. Coaches are teachers. You know what I mean? We're teachers, and we always supposed to be there to help these kids develop and move on to their, in their careers or whatever. So I try to keep things in that perspective, but I know it's getting tough. There's some coaches that take a lot of things personal. The one thing that I ever can't stand, especially in high school, about a coach is when they don't want another kid to play multiple sports. I think every kid that comes in should play multiple sports. You don't know what sport is going to take him where he want to go or where he can go. And I dislike coaches that in high school that does that. But, and putting all the eggs in one basket. In college, it's a different tune because you actually trying to sharpen your skills. So that's kind of been my philosophy, Coach, and it's been successful for me. I've won everywhere I've been, and most of the fact that those kids either calling me or calling me now, saying thank you, Coach, for being there for me. So, and not letting me run astray. So I get it.
Well, let me say this before we move on to our next topic. We got two more. Well, really just one more topic, and Campbell's gonna love it. But
not Florida A&M, is it?
The other thing I want to ask you is, a lot of people now have been very vocal since this Nico situation about voicing about how the system is broken. The system is broken. It needs to be fixed. It must be fixed. It almost seems like they preferred the old system better. And I ask you, Mr. Campbell, then I'll let and then Coach Cole answer. Do you guys think the old system was better?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think no, because we know it wasn't. We know it wasn't. And we know it wasn't because, let's be clear, it wasn't like players wasn't getting paid. They were just getting paid technically illegally. So there's no old system. So now we just brought it from behind the scenes to the front of the scenes. So there was never this system. I mean, we can go right back to Eric Dixon.
Why weren't they vocal about that system the way they are vocal about this system?
Once again, nobody has, I think the coaches don't like it because of the constant player movement. A guy and basketball players are really bad about this compared to football because it's easy to pick up a ball and play. And coach, you know this. You got basketball guys that are on their third team. You got one guy that's been to 2 Final Fours on 2 different teams. Okay. So for a coach, and coach can say, you do want some continuity. You don't want guys in and out. You want some continuity. So I understand that as a coach. But I think me as a person, do I want players to be able to get paid? Absolutely, because they're making money off of them. Y'all want a player, if he doesn't want to be there, just like a coach, if he quits or gets another job to leave, he can leave. But I think there has to become a time when now you start to look at it and say what rules, like case in point, do we honor these NIL contracts? Coach Mickey Joseph say, hey, if you get one of my guys, then you do a buyout. I think that's a very interesting thing that Mickey Joseph talked about. Because again, now we're turning the farm systems for the higher level players. And Blue, I do want you, Blue, if you can call in, because Blue had a great show today. Shout out to Blue and Coach today.
Shout out to Blue. We always appreciate your input, Blue.
Blue, I want you to call in because Blue made a great point about how many kids that moved up.
I send Blue the link if he close to
Blue call in because I want him to talk about those guys that left our programs didn't even play. They're not even developing. So see, it's still the grass is not green on the other side. So I want Blue to really kind of, because he really broke that down. So for me, no, I don't have a problem with this right now. What I have a problem with, again, is that what I don't want is players, and Nico's a perfect example, to get misinformed. I want all players, because the next thing I'm worried about for a lot of these kids, because again, basketball players at 19 have been going pro forever. So this is not about having money. But basketball players have gone broke. And what I don't want is a lot of these kids not understand what taxes mean, not understanding what managing money means. And that's what I'm concerned about. Because, yes, you got this generational wealth, per se, but you can blow all of it. You got guys buying $200,000 cars in college. I need somebody to talk to that guy. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah. Hey, Blue, you're welcome to jump on, man, and talk about –
who is Blue? What's Blue? What Blue's background? What Blue?
He's a journalist that reports on FCS football, and he does a lot of HBCU stuff. He's part of the family, no doubt. And so, but what I also wanted to ask you guys before we go into that, because I think this is a HBCU centric conversation, and if Blue jumps on, we definitely can backtrack because that's a HBCU centric conversation. So this past week, we had somebody do something I became aware of it a little over a year ago. The first time I'd ever seen it done in the 4 years I've been watching HBCU football. The first person that tried to do it was your alma mater, Coach Cole, when somebody attempted to hire somebody else's championship coach. You guys have been around a while, and then that wasn't able to be. TSU unfortunately wasn't able to execute the transaction. However, Coach Paul Bryan executed it when he hired Coach Thornton, and we had Coach Thornton on the show shortly after she was hired at A&M. Now we have this last week we have Grambling and their AD hire the basketball coach from FAMU to Grambling. Well, excuse me, let me backtrack. Paul Bryant did it again first, and when he took the Grambling coach and hired him at A&M. So Paul Bryant stole 2 coaches, one from Grambling, one from Pine Bluff. Then the AD Travion Scott, after his coach got stole, he stole FAMU's coach and hired him at Grambling. And I'll get this from both of you guys. What I'm trying to get to is this typical in HBCUs, or is this a new phenomenon that's happening where y'all are stealing each other's coaches to improve the program?
The SEC does this every year.
I know the SEC does it, but I'm just saying that's not what. Go ahead,
Coach.
No, I was just simply saying when vacancies happens the first 4 years I was watching this, they never considered hiring each other's coaches until Fred McNair was well, I take that back. Eric Dooley was hired first. That's when it first happened. And so for Eric Dooley, then TSU tried to do it with Fred McNair. And so this is a thing that's been happening in HBCU. Is this historically how it's always happened, or is this a new phenomenon?
Let me say this, Coach. I'm gonna let you have the rest of the floor. See, this is what I like about Rocky and what he's getting ready. Rocky, let me tell you something. The Godfather Reno Cassim left Alcorn and went to Southern. Okay, that was back in the late '80s. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The gunslinger left Valley and went to UNPB.
Yeah, he took the AD job and then became the coach.
So, hey, man, this so again, Coach, I'm going to let you have. I just had to put that out there.
Okay. Well, enlighten me.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
I want to ask the question that you didn't let me answer about today's players getting paid compared which system is the best. I think what's happening with paying these players is just like what's happening with Doge. They're going in and making these changes and doing without really sitting down. The NCAA really should have sit down with the coaches and actually really went over. First of all, yes, we should pay the players. They're making this money for this university. I'm for that. But let's go about how to pay the players and what should we do. And for it won't get out of hand. Now, the NIL, that's something different. But the collectives, from each university, I think it should have been a collective from everybody and for everybody on the team to make money. These kids don't need $3 and $4 and $5 million unless they're getting it from some commercials where they actually doing some work outside of playing the game. Because what happened to John Doe, who practiced all the time and is the practice dummy, he don't get nothing. So I think that the NCAA with all this, because they end up having to do it anyway. They just lost $1 billion lawsuit where they have to go all the way back. They're doing it anyway, and they're gonna pay out of that $1 billion lawsuit. Each kid gonna get a little piece of bread, and I think they should have came out with that off the rip. And anything that a top player makes, if I'm the quarterback and I'm at Duke and I'm the guy, and people want to give me some outside of what the school is giving me, then so be it. But what happens is that it's like the Wild Wild West. So we ain't doing nothing but going through the same changes that America is going through now as far as Doge is coming in. I think it should have been a way, not saying that it's a bad thing, that Doge is a bad thing. Every program and every organization somebody needs to be able to come in and clean things around. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying it should be a structured transition, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And this was a very chaotic transition.
By the NCAA. Go. Like Campbell said, everybody knew what guys was getting paid, man. That wasn't no secret. And whoever had the highest pick or can sneak the most money in, it's all kind of tricks how they were paying people. We could talk about that all day. I had friends that actually was the bag man. You had guys working at a lower 1AA school, really working for a 1A school. They giving the bag to him. He taking it over to the high school. Man, all kind of stuff was going on. And so they should have got together and maybe they wouldn't have been in this this trouble. They should have got together and said, okay, we're going to, on the Division 1A big schools, we're going to pay the players, $100,000 a piece.
But the NCAA was totally committed to amateurism.
Exactly. And now they don't got hit over the head. So I just wanted to make sure that I was at stake. No, where they doing it now, man, is out of freaking control, Coach. It's out of control. The second question about hiring coaches from other, you know me, man. I want the best, and if it's the best out of there, that kid from Florida A&M, we talked about him. Unfortunately, I thought Florida A&M done him a bad, Campbell, giving a man a 1-year contract. Man, that's crazy. This man gonna pick up his family, go down there, and then he has to prove himself. I proved myself doing the interview. So I think it was a great move by Grambling. It's a great move by that guy. I mean, he can't ever go back to Florida A&M though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Coach, the thing, but see, again, as they said, there's layers to this. And this is what happens. And like I said, I'm going to put it out there because, like I say, people making all this, you only get, Coach, people trust you. People respect you. People treat you bad if they don't respect you. The reason why he got a 1-year deal is because of the previous track record of the AD. So you can't come to me when you $850,000 in debt. That's why they gave him a 1-year deal. And then when you get an AD that the board trusts, she immediately goes and gets him the 3-year deal. So, okay. So let's put the where it's at.
A 2-year extension, so that we're accurate.
Well, right. Well, what you gave him the 3 years. So because that's what he would have gotten. He wanted the 3. And then when Grambling, so to clear that up, and let's be clear, everything, Coach, you know this. Things about relationships. He had relationships with people down at Grambling. I'm not going to say any names, how that got started. We all know how it got started. Our AD said, hey, you know what? We value you. I will give you a 5-year deal. There's no state income tax in Florida and still give you the bone. He wanted to go to Grambling. Grambling's got a good coach. I'm happy for Grambling, my people. So guess what? But guess what? It's not like people don't want that Florida A&M job, which I'll find out shortly.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, he was looking more to me for loyalty than like, well, dang, y'all want to now give me 5 years when you should have done that off the rep. You guys lowball me and then honor, what I bring to the table. So I get it. It goes both ways.
So let me ask you this, Coach, because you're not only a coach. I respect your business acumen. I hire you at Rocky University. I give you a 1-year deal, and you really have to work for 6 months before you can get paid. Because your pay doesn't really start till when, Campbell? June?
Yeah.
July 1, usually.
July 1. So you had to work, you had to recruit, you had to be in the building until July, and you didn't get, and then that's when they started paying you. You worked under a 1-year deal, and you got an extension, right?
Immediately when the new AD.
Yeah, I get it. I get
it.
it.
No, if you get it, just say
it. No. What I'm saying is, he had a hell of a season, and he got a 1-year and he got a 2-year extension. I'm not. I think AD Suggs did a great job. Don't get me wrong. This is not about AD Suggs. This is what I want to ask Coach Cole. You have a friend in the business who calls you up and says, Coach Cole, I can get you a 5-year deal. Do you want it?
Right.
And you say, hell yeah, I want it. And you say, okay, I'm going to get it for you. You get the 5-year deal from that friend's call, but yet the place who had you working 6 months for no money matches. What do you do at that point, Coach? I'll just ask you.
Well, you said it earlier, it's about relationships. And Campbell said it too. Evidently, he has some relationships up at Grambling. I mean, that's ultimate important in deals. You know what I'm saying? And you always want to be somewhere where you want it at. You know what I mean? Not somewhere where you got to prove yourself. You want to be able to relax. I'll be surprised. I see why he took it, the job with 1 year, but I know he took it probably with bitterness that he had done a great job at the junior college, and this had gave him an opportunity to go to the 1A. And they really, and I'll be honest, Campbell, how they done that, man, it would leave it left a bitter taste.
Absolutely. But see, but you got to put the blame on the board, coach. We all see this. This is the thing about it.
But coach, that's even worse.
Well, the
board can fire everybody down the level.
Well, coach, this is the thing. The people, the alumni, totally agree with you. Nobody thought that was right. But this is what see, and I'm gonna say it. When you don't have your game tight, this is what happens. If listen, Rocky said it best. If Rocky comes to you, I trust Rocky. Right? He says, hey, I'm going to refer Coach Cole to you. I trust what he says. I'm going to hire you on the spot. But if I don't trust what Rocky says, I'm going to be like, I need to interview you. This is what happened. The trust was already broken between the AD and the board. Let's keep it where it's at. It ain't got nothing to do. And unfortunately, Coach was, as they say, collateral damage in that. So he goes, the new AD comes, and like I said, I'm not mad. I would have done the same thing. That's what I'm saying. So nobody's mad at him for what he's doing, Rocky. He has a right to feel like that. I'm never going to tell a man not to feel like that. Because, and again, I'm not saying he said that, but he said in so many words that I don't trust what's going on in Florida A&M. Not you, AD Suggs, because he shouted out AD Suggs.
Well, no, I don't. So see, this is the next thing I was going to. Is it time to start putting buyouts in HBCU coaching contracts?
They do have buyouts. A lot of coaches have buyouts. Absolutely. They already have buyouts. He didn't have a buyout because he only had the 1 year. Wasn't nothing to buy out.
Yeah, they put buyouts in there now. If you leave,
yeah.
Let's say you got a $400,000 contract. If you leave after the first year, it's $400,000. Leave the second year is whatever. It goes down the more years you stay there. But
so they do put buyouts in. They just he didn't have a buyout because he just got that 2-year extension.
Well, no, okay. So the extension hadn't even gone. It wouldn't have gone into place until July 1st.
Okay.
That's where his contract ran. Went from July to July.
Right.
So he was still under that contract. There was nothing she could do.
So it didn't even kick in until July.
Didn't even kick in till July. So the best she could do, what she did was like, hey, I will match the money and give you bonus. And like I say, every coach, like I say, knows this. Sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about the feeling. Sometimes about where you think you're going to go. So like I say, again, one thing I'm not going to do, Coach Carrera came in. You could see the energy. He was moving the program in the right direction. He won 7 more games. It's not like he won 20 games either, but you could see the direction of the program going forward. So,
but you got to admit, Coach, Mr. Campbell, he was given a situation where he had one hand tied behind his back.
Oh, 100%. That's what I'm saying. I'm not doubting anything.
Yeah.
But I also
look, they were looking down at his nose like you was hard by the wrong AD. You might not be legit.
Well, Coach, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna say this to all people looking for jobs. When your boss asks you a question about how to fix something, and you say raffle tickets, you're probably not gonna have nobody trust you after that.
Now, the last part of this story, and this is the part that I'm most excited about, is that it leaves an opening at FAMU. Now, I'm not a historian around FAMU basketball or anything like that. I don't know very much about it. But what I do know, because you guys have a local high school coach there that is not only a state championship basketball coach, but is also a national championship quarterback that has been coaching at Florida High, I think, since around 2020 in Charlie Ward. And it is come to my understanding that he's one of the top candidates for the job. And actually, off the top of my head, it wasn't 15 minutes before I saw the deal on Facebook. I called Mr. Campbell, and his name surfaced. And I mentioned his name to Mr. Campbell, and you gave me a kind of a weird response. I thought you were like, "What do you mean? Who you been talking to?" I'm like, "I ain't been talking to nobody. I just know Charlie works there because my best friend is his first cousin, and Charlie many years ago, 1999, invited me and his first cousin to spend the week with him in San Antonio when they was playing in the NBA championship against the Knicks. So I got to spend a lot of time with Charlie and his wife Tanya, and they are sensational people. And so that's why I brought his name up immediately, because I know what a kind of good guy he is. I didn't even know if he was interested in college coaching at all, but apparently he is. And I'm happy to know that he's a candidate for the job. And now he was coaching at the wrong school, according to I thought he was at FAMU High, and Mr. Campbell hurried up and corrected me and said, no, he's at Florida High. He's not at FAMU High. He said, you don't want to get that mixed up. That'll cause you some problems later on. And I'm like, okay. But in other words, with no further ado, Charlie Ward, former Heisman Trophy winning quarterback at Florida State, is one of the candidates for the job. And I personally, because I consider him a friend and somebody I've looked up to for many years. And so I definitely hope he gets the job. Campbell, how do you think he'll be received if he is selected?
Let Coach go first, because I'm gonna talk a little bit.
I thought you had him come on the show the way you introduced him.
Right, he will be on the show. He'll be on the show, or he gonna have to personally tell me no, because I think Charlie's a sensational guy, and I know how to get in contact with him. Just say that.
I had the opportunity to meet Charlie when he was down in Houston, and definitely he's a good dude. But you know how I am about good dudes and good people. I want championship guys. I want guys that win championships. All that.
Does a 3A Florida basketball championship count?
Is that the highest can go, Campbell?
No. It's 5A. I think it's the highest.
Probably got 7, 8. Probably, it's Florida.
Yeah. Well, it's a possibility. One thing he can put butts in the seats because he played at Florida State. He can do that as well. But I would definitely have to dig into his background. I'm pretty sure there's some other guys out here that actually coached on the college level and won championships. And as you say so gracefully, Rocky, it has to be a good fit. It has to be a good fit of what we need and what we know.
Well, here's the thing, Coach. As you know, championship coaches don't grow on trees.
Right.
And let's be honest, it's hard for you to go get a championship coach to come to a school that's not a basketball school that's building. So what you're looking for in all ADs, this is what great ADs do. You got to identify diamond in the rough when you're talking about a non-traditional basketball school like Florida A&M. So you got to kind of think outside about, because if he's a championship coach, there are other places that probably have more resources, that are basketball schools, etc., that might be looking at that coach, right? I think we're going to agree on that. I will say this, is that there are several people that are former NBA coaches, college coaches. Charlie Ward, apparently, like as you said, is interested in the job, that have all contacted our AD. So that makes me feel good that people see that this job has a potential. Now, for me, and I will say this, I've heard some of the names. People have called me and said, hey, this guy's interested. Can you get him in contact with AD Suggs, etc.? I will say this. No matter which way she goes, I will say this on behalf of Charlie Ward, my personal opinion. What I think Charlie Ward will do is, again, unify the alumni base, because Charlie Ward is a known entity to the alumni, Rocky. He is that guy. And he's a respectable guy in Tallahassee. He has roots at FAMU. His family is from FAMU, and his daddy played at FAMU. So he understands the family.
Daddy and mama, if I'm not mistaken, are FAMUans, right?
Ain't he from
Thomasville?
Thomasville. Yeah, Thomasville. Right.
Thomasville, Georgia. Right. So if you're going to talk about overall and what I'm looking at, and I'm just going to say, hey, maybe we don't get a championship coach. Then I'm going to go to scouting resource. I'm looking for a guy with some resources. Charlie Ward comes with resources. FAMU basketball needs resources. Because I tell you what, if you take Charlie Ward on a strike tour, and all he got to do is sign some autographed football that we can auction off for $300-$400. Hell, AD Suggs might be able to get another $10,000-$15,000 football being signed.
Right.
And I think that's a good.
I would come to Houston if y'all have us. If he has an appearance in Houston, I would come to Houston.
So I think that when you look at it, so if she's able to make that move, or the other names that are potential guys, I think that, again, while Coach Query is a great coach, because I think Coach Query is a great X's and O coach. I've seen that firsthand. I think he's a great recruiter. But I think there are other things that if you do have a Charlie Ward, there's the one thing about Charlie Ward was the assistant basketball coach for USA Basketball at the Nike Hoop Summit. That's a big deal. That means he's around these kids in the AAU circuit. He's put kids in Power Fives off his basketball team. So my thing is, can he go and recruit kids? That's my thing. He knows who the kids are. That's my biggest thing. So the resource that he brings, he's a Tallahassee guy. He understands FAMU. And again, like I say, can he get to 13 wins? Yeah, I think he can get to 13 wins. And
well, like I say, this is what I'll say, and this is just what I was able to do. Charlie Ward was one basketball state championship as head coach at Florida State University Schools. I don't know what that means. And it says in 2022, he led the team to a victory in the Florida High School Athletic Association 3A championship, marking the school's first boys basketball championship title since 1963. So they weren't a traditional power in basketball either.
No.
When he took over.
No. So there you go. So and I'm gonna tell you this too. And I'm gonna listen. Okay, I want to be very clear. The money to pay the coach ain't the problem. Coach Query, why he got the 170 and not maybe around the 200, which he's getting, is because he was only making $70,000 at the NAIA high school. And the board trustee said, we're not going to pay you 3 times of what you made. We're going to double it. So he was really cursed by what the low salary he had at the NIA level. Not because we didn't have the money, because any coach that's going to come in, AD Suggs, trust me, is going to be able to pay him $200,000 without blinking. I can tell you that right now. So that's not even an issue. So y'all can stop that right now. For real. Stop it.
Well, here's the deal. This is what I say about Charlie. I think everybody in FAMU realizes what Charlie can bring to the university, not only in stature, but in experience as a basketball coach, and what he mean. Like you said, I didn't even realize he was part of USA Basketball, but what he brings. So he would bring credibility to that position that, and I'm gonna be honest with you, in a way that Coach Carey had no way of doing. I mean, he don't have the connections. He don't have the name. He don't have the what they call it, the pedigree. Because McQuarrie doesn't have the pedigree that Charlie Ward has.
Yeah, because I think he was a winning coach, wasn't he, Coach?
Yeah, he's a solid winning basketball coach. Yeah,
but I'm just talking about Charlie Ward's pedigree is far more extensive when you talk about all the levels of basketball he's participated in and mainly his accomplishments as a player.
Right.
Is what I'm
he played in the NBA. He's a first round pick.
Yes.
He played for the Knicks. He played played in the finals. So he has an experience.
That don't mean he can coach. That don't mean he can coach.
Well, this is what I'll ask you, Coach, and before we get out of here, Coach. Do you hit? Because I know it's on a case-by-case basis. Because there have been other coaches that hadn't been, like Sam Shade. You love Sam Shade, and he wasn't an HBCU guy. There are other guys. Would you hold Charlie to the Dishman standard or the Sam Shade standard?
I would hold him to the Sam Shade standard. Because he's coached high school football. He's climbed up the ladder. He's part of the USA Coaches Association. He's done things the right way. It's just a matter of time and where he want to go. He's back close to home, Thomasville. Like, he got a lot of alumni and stuff around there. I think he's a good take, Coach. And he has some contacts that probably could help the program out. I ain't no hater, Coach. I ain't no hater, guys. I ain't no. I don't hate on the guy just because he played ball. But when it comes to coaching, I think, and being in that spot, man, I'm telling you, man.
Let me ask you this, Campbell, because this is a big deal. Can Charlie Ward get the seal of approval from the street committee?
Oh man, look, that's easy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The funny thing about there's 2 street committees, right? And I'll say that you got people like me that's older. You know what I mean? The kids are grown, and then you got people like shout out to Josh and Scotty and all those young guys, right? So those guys might not. They don't know who Charlie Ward is. He never saw him play. So what's funny is when the younger guys kick in and make they know it's good or bad. I'm not saying Scotty's gonna go negative upon him, but the point of this, they don't matter because they ain't giving no money to no schools. The people that matter when 80 Sons roll him through there, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, the people that's going to cut a check are people my age. And people my age. And let me say something about Charlie Ward. Well, and this is, I think, a lot of people and family people. EA knows this. A couple of people in family know this. It was listen, let me tell you something, Rocky. It was the FAMU people that once again that was defending Charlie Ward because Danny Cannell was a freshman, okay? And all the white people that were, y'all need to start Danny Cannell because Charlie Ward plays street ball. That's what they called it, street ball. And it was the black people of FAMU like, hey, we for this brother. So Charlie, we always had Charlie Ward's back. You see what I'm saying?
And so, Charlie Ward our age.
Yeah,
he was one of the first guys to play.
I think he's a year ahead of me and you.
No,
1 year ahead of us.
Charlie's a year younger than us.
1 year younger. Okay.
Yeah, he was one of the first ones to play basketball and football, on live TV. You know what I mean? He would play basketball and football. So,
Campbell, I'm gonna check you on that because I could have swore he punted my senior year in high school at Florida State, but I'll check.
Yeah, check that.
Yeah. Let me say one thing too. Man, I'm getting on, but we talked about coaches and what they do on the off season and that kind of thing. And I know we had a thing about Cozy, and since we brought him up about him being a referee, and me and Campbell talked off the scene, and a lot of people think that when you're a coach, you don't have no personal life, like you just work 24/7, 365 days. But that's not true. When you look at a coach, most coaches get hired in December, November, December, and they go right to recruiting. And then when you go to recruiting, you come out, and then you give your coaches and yourself, 2 weeks off because you're just coming off the season and just coming off recruiting. And then once you come back after recruiting, then spring ball starts. You got your strength coach there, you got your other coaches there, and then you start spring ball. And they shorten spring ball. After spring ball, guys, coaches are free. The coaches usually let them off. They come back, they check, they're going on vacation, they're getting to know their wives, their girlfriends again. They actually getting to know their children as well. Because they from August on, it's every day. It's 7 days a week, sometime 24/7 if you got to run up to the dorm. August, September, October, and November, and December if you're going on the bowl games, So right now, we're talking about Cozy a couple of weeks. That's what he do. That's his getaway thing. And he does it on the weekend. It ain't like he doing it during the week. He's going in. And some coaches are just checking in. Some coaches, like for me, look, I don't want to see you. I want you to go spend time with your wife. I want you to go do some things that you need to do with your family, and then we'll meet. We'll come back in July, and we'll meet in July. And then, what I done is we went off to a hotel or somewhere for a weekend. We traveled, in Houston. We went to Galveston. We stayed down there through a whole weekend. When we was up in Nashville, we would go downtown Nashville, and we would start right there from July on. It's every day. It's 7 days a week. It's getting ready for the season. But in the spring, coming in the spring, after spring ball, it's free time, man. And you do whatever you do to release some of the tension and some of the stress, and be able to go on some trips and stuff with your wives and stuff. So I want to make sure I clear that up, with people about what a football coach does. He doesn't work 24/7, 12 months out of a year. He doesn't. He needs that at least 2.5, 3 months of off time. He's no different from a teacher almost. It's just his time is different. So I wanted to make sure, I think we talked about that, Campbell, trying to explain that.
And I think I think with Coach Coles, again, it's something that he loves, something he enjoys. I think like with anything, it's always how everything is, something that's presented, you know? Right. And I think it caught people off guard because people did not know he had that love. And that's why I think when you catch like, oh, you know, and I think, but again, the great thing about him and AD Suggs have a great relationship. He told AD Suggs, hey, this is something I was, to your point, Coach, I'm doing to X date. I'm not doing it after the date. Right. You know what I mean? So Coach is focused on, like I say, getting the portals getting ready to open back up. Coach is, getting those players, they finished their spring practice. I heard it was great spring practice. And like I said, I think he focused, hey, they're trying to win a SWAC championship. So that's all that counts. So for me, hey man, like I said, they say, umpiring, this fair, that's fair. Hey man, FAMU champs. You know what I mean? That's all we care about.
To me, it ain't no different him playing golf, riding go-karts, doing what he likes to do, man. And evidently he's been doing it for almost 20 years. So, I don't see anything wrong with it. Is it kind of like, oh man, this is the head coach and he's an umpire? Yeah, umpires make a whole bunch of money, coach, in the pros. They make a whole bunch of money and they got a prestigious position. That really is a prestigious position. So, man, we had a great show tonight, Coach.
Hey, man, we had a great show. And even without one of your amazing guests, Coach Cole, we still was able to maintain a very large audience as we did the show. So sometimes it ain't always about the guests. Sometimes it's about the conversation that we have. And I want to appreciate everybody for I thought we would get more callers in, but I'm sure they were scared to disagree with any of us, understanding how strong each of our opinions are and our positions are.
Man, you seeing that right there?
Hey, Coach. Huh? That's what they tuned in for, Coach. They didn't want. Hey, Coach, you can't show them that, Coach. They'll start hating, Coach. They'll start hating, Coach.
I was screwed up again.
Yeah, well, you see, he cut the disco lights on in the back to show out.
Hey, Coach,
don't go jump in the pool. Y'all didn't know that just started coming on when his boy came. You saw his boy like, hey, I'm about to cut the lights on, Coach. You saw his boy said we about to show out.
Yeah. It's heated, Coach. You got some heat on it. No, not tonight, man.
No, man. It was a great conversation, guys. And I had a great time. I appreciate everybody who called, who put in comments. Again, we got some big things coming, guys. I want you guys to stay tuned. We're trying to improve this content each and every week. Hey, I want to ask you guys this. Did y'all know that Grambling and Jackson State was playing a game in Las Vegas?
Oh, I'm not sure. Basketball or football?
Football.
Yeah, you didn't. You're the only one that didn't know. If you didn't know, you're joking.
Gramblin's been out there several times.
Yeah, they're playing out of Vegas.
Hey man, hey, Coach, you may want to work with your people, and I know you got people on the Grambling side. Maybe we could come in and as a VIP guest or something, man, because I'd love to be out there in Vegas. I don't know what stadium they playing at.
They're playing at the Raiders Stadium.
They playing at the Raiders Stadium, right across the street from the Strip. Oh man.
Well, Coach, now come on now. We're gonna make a call and we're gonna make it happen for us.
Do you know who the promoter is for that game?
I don't, but I'm pretty sure Al knows, but we're gonna go through the school.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Al said we had a standing invitation for the
State Fair.
State Fair. So
yeah. Jack Daniels, baby. We're gonna be Jack Daniels in it down, baby. I love the State Fair, man. Eating the corn and the turkey legs, of course, and the sausage and all that good stuff, man.
I saw on some other shows they're already predicting finishes and all that kind of stuff. Guys, I want to play around like that. We can. I'd rather get close to the season before we do all that. Because
I'm not doing that because let them jokers tell everybody that got FAMU's only gonna win 2 games. So no, I ain't even about to start that yet. That's why I can't even watch that. I'm like, okay, I can't take y'all serious. Talking about FAMU only gonna win 2 games.
You know what I did do is I did understand that they think a lot of Tremaine Jackson, and surprisingly, they think they were what I would consider pretty high on Southern coming into this season. So That was surprising, you know, for them to be high on Southern and Prairie View. Don't think much of TSU, at UAPB, Grambling, and Alcorn. I guess Alcorn is, you know, they expect them to finish middle of the road, but it's very interesting in the West. As some other shows were taking a look at the schedule, the upcoming schedule. We won't do that. We're gonna let the dust settle a little bit and get into the season before we start making predictions. I think it's way too early to start. Matter of fact, if Texas Southern come up with that $4 million for Nico, you know, I'm sure that'll change everybody's predictions.
Well, you better ask somebody when they do, because look, I want some of mine. You know, maybe I could chip off that $4 million. But, man, we had a great show, man, and one of the things about what's going on now in the world today, and you know, we just got to hang on in there and you know, keep striving. You know, things gonna work itself out. We got to believe in the leadership. You know, one of the things I believe in, man. You know, once we make a decision, man, we got to roll with the decision, you know. But, you know, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, as I always say, tie a knot and hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.